fail again and again and again. And we have to find those individuals that have a moderate to high risk of recidivating, a moderate to high risk of committing new crimes. We have to find them before they get out of prison and target them and meet with them and work with them so that we give them the best chance possible to be successful before they hit the street. And with their peer associations and their criminal thinking and their records, which keep them out of jobs and housing, and their attitudes and behaviors that keep them out of behavioral health programs, we give them the best possible chance of hitting the ground on strong legs. In order to do this, we have to assess their risk, we have to assess their needs, and we do that through the use of actuarial, predictive, risk and need assessment instruments that have been proven again and again and again to be quite accurate in trying to figure out who is more likely to go back to prison and who is not. Moderate to high risk. If we divided this room up into 3 groups of people, low risk, these folks right here in the front looking at them is high risk. Whoa, man, they're tough. Moderate risk, the larger group back here, who ends up showing up at our programs because they want some help? Who we really need to try to figure out who they are. The high and the low. Now let me tell you something, and I have to use Bonnie. You just happen to be sitting in the seat that is the highest risk, highest need person in the room, and you're in the seat where we put the sociopaths and the psychopaths. Sorry.
I'm pretty unpredictable.
Pretty unpredictable. And you're with her. Not quite as bad, but you're close. When we're doing risk and need assessment, we want to know who these folks are because we're not going to be successful with them. These are career criminals that are beyond our pale. We need to try. We need to watch them. But these are the people that are going to repeat. It's going to be very difficult to work with them. Our sweet spot is the low highs, so to speak, and the moderates. Not that we want to box anybody out, but we got to be clear. If we've only got 5 places for people to live, and we give up all those slots, and this is going to really, this is incredible. I'm going to say this. Roger happens to be in a seat that's the lowest of the low. Lowest risk, lowest need. I know him. I know that's not true. But I'll tell you, look at the guy. I mean, the suit comes up in time, always delivers, not a fight. Yes, sir, yes. He brought me this apple this morning. I mean, we love this guy. These are the guys we like on our caseload. We like in our programs. We don't need to spend a lot of time with Roger. As we start to move up this group, we start to get to Pastor Jetson. If we don't work carefully with these guys, they're going to go the wrong direction. Their risk is going to go up. They're going to be over here. So we got the low, high risk. We got the moderate risk. We got the higher end. When we think about risk and needs, risk, pretty static, meaning hard to change it. How old were you when you committed your first crime? How many times you been in prison? How many times you been non-compliant? What's your rap sheet look like? Right? You don't change that stuff. That's static. The new risk assessment also includes things you can change. What are you doing now? Are you in program? Are you attending a synagogue, church, a temple? Are you employed? Are you in counseling? Those are also risk factors. And when we engage people who are in the low end of the high risk and the moderate risk in those types of programs, we can help manage their risk so that the risk assessment that predicts they'll go back doesn't happen. We're managing their risk so that the prediction doesn't happen. A lot of folks talk about risk reduction. We want to reduce their risk. Well, it's really more about managing the risk rather than reducing it. Because if you're in this group here, in prison 4 times, non-compliant 5 times, in and out of jail 15 times, And God only knows what you do. Her rap sheet's so long I can't even summarize it. That weight of those static risk factors are very hard to overcome. These folks can be involved in school and be out and free and functioning and become ministers. And when we do a risk assessment, the weight of those static scores will still put them in high risk. We point to them and say they beat the odds. We're managing that risk. Hard to reduce it. Less the case with the lower risk folks whose risk you can probably modify and change over time. The whole idea of risk and need assessment is for us to understand as a community of the 600, 800 people that are getting out every month, where do people fall? Where do we need to spend our time and attention? Who do we need to meet before they get released? Where is the sweet spot? And it's right here. We don't talk about excluding populations, we talk about prioritizing populations from highest risk and highest need to lowest need. And if the resources hold out, maybe we can help Roger. But frankly, if we just let Roger bounce as he will through the community, he'll probably be okay. Because Roger has, these guys don't have. He's got a lighter record. He's got more success in his history. He's got a better attitude and better belief than they do about themselves and how they fit into society and their chances for success. That brings us to a huge issue of positive reinforcement. Every opportunity we have to engage with a returning citizen, former prisoner, is an opportunity to help improve their attitudes and beliefs. Every engagement. If we believe philosophically in everything we do, in the way we carry ourselves, in the way we act, with returning citizens full of respect, with their success at the heart of everything we do, we can help them improve their attitudes and beliefs about themselves, how they fit in to society, their chances for success, their dedication and their motivation, and what we all know in the work that we do, that it isn't programs that get people to change. It's relationships. And every single one of us, I've done this, we won't take the time to do it. Call me out a couple of names of people that change your life. What has affected your life? I say, what has affected your life? You're not going to tell me where you went to school. You're not going to tell me what church you went to. You're going to talk about your pastor, your teacher, your blessed mother, whoever, right? That's what each of us needs to be able to do in all of our interactions, and it's not because it makes good sense from an ethical or moral standpoint. It's that, but it also makes sense because the science says that positive reinforcement helps reduce individual and therefore group criminality. The ratio of positive to negative comments should be 4 or 5 to 1. And if I got my high risk, high need coming in, kind of non-compliant, showing up late again, and the first thing I say to her is negative. Why did you miss work yesterday? She's backing off. She ain't listening. She got an attitude right off the bat. It ain't going to go very well. If I say, God, I'm so glad that you came here today. A little late, but glad you're here, and glad that you reported last week that you moved without permission. And I got to find 4 or 5 positive things to be able to say to her, which means I better know that stuff. Right. It better be in the case files. What does she do well? Are you still doing your tutoring down at the school? Yeah, I'm still doing it. I missed a couple times. I still got a couple of kids there. Well, that's great. You got to do the positive stuff. The ears open up and say, now let's talk about this bad drug test you took. What's going on? He's going to talk to you. Because your ears are open up because it's positive reinforcement. And then I want to make sure, both as individuals and as a group, that I understand who I'm working with well enough by risk and need that I can target interventions. Target interventions individually. Because I know that what I do with you is going to be different than what I do with you, from a lot of different reasons. Not just because it's man and woman, there's some big differences there, but also because of culture and also because of history. But more specifically, you're both in the same risk level, but you got different types of needs, you got different learning styles. We have to understand these clients so